And we're live on Game Changers with me, Vicki Abelson, and my guest today is my lovely new friend, Lee Purcell. Lee, hi.
Hi, Vicki.
You know, I was saying it before we went live, but it's really true. You are an absolute marvel. You are gorgeous. I'm in awe of you. I don't know how you do it. I guess we don't want to know the secrets, but there's definitely somebody dead in a closet somewhere. There's no doubt.
A portrait, not a dead person.
Right. Oh, a portrait. Oh, there's an aging. That's right. There's an aging portrait.
You know, it's the movie Dorian Gray.
I know, that was an amazing film.
Was.
And you've done some amazing films. We're going to get to all of that.
Thank you.
Before we start talking about the work, though, I want to talk about you. I didn't bring my hat in. I know that veterans are a subject close to your heart, and
yes.
I've done some stuff for the veterans. And what makes that a cause that's important to you?
My father was a Marine fighter pilot, and he was killed.
Oh,
and
I'm so
so yeah, it's a big deal to me. And also my family has hundreds of years of history of being in the military, going all the way back to, I believe, the Revolutionary War. Yeah, the Revolutionary. Yeah, so it's a very long history, and there's a really incredible story. If we have time, I'll tell you. It's very brief.
Tell it now.
Okay, well, it's a very long ago ancestor who was in the Revolutionary War, and his name was, I think it was Joshua Phillips. I think, I could be wrong. Now look at all my cousins correcting me, genealogists, and they'll be like, "Why didn't you get that right?" And I think I just froze. Okay.
No, you're not froze.
Oh, there we go.
I can see. There you go.
I think that was his name, but he was in the Revolutionary War.
Wait a minute. How many generations back do you go here?
Oh,
were you like
to Native Americans? That's how far back we go.
Wow.
So yeah, we've been here for a while.
Wow.
But it depends on which. Everybody, we're all such mutts. And it depends on, well, we're talking about the French side or the Irish side or the Native American side or the Scots, or it depends on which of that. But I believe that the Revolutionary War, let me think, he would have been on the Scots side, and he was fighting on the good side. He was not a loyalist. He was a rebel, and he was a ranking officer, and he had a wife and several children, and there was a really, really bad general on the loyalist side. He was a very bad guy, and I think his name was something like Mad Dog Killer, or something like
that's
really
fitting.
bad. He was a really bad guy. So my ancestor was off fighting in a secret location, and his wife knew not to tell anybody where he was. And Mad Dog Killer guy came, and he broke into their house, and she was there alone with the children, and kept trying to force her to tell him where my ancestor was fighting, and she wouldn't, and so he killed her in front of her children.
Whoa.
Yep. And
wow.
So then when my ancestor, I guess, I don't know the whole story. Who does? We're talking 17 something.
Yeah, it's a few years ago.
A few years ago, right. But when he came back from, I guess, that battle.
Yeah.
And anyway, later he married a Native American woman whom I'm a direct descendant of, named
Do you know what tribe?
Well, that's a whole other story, but
okay.
We could talk about. Supposedly she was Cherokee, and she had a Cherokee son, but she married my ancestor, and they had several more children, of which I am descended from them, even though I certainly do not look Native American.
You do not.
I am actually a direct descendant, and that's proven by DNA. And
have you done the DNA thing?
Yeah, many times.
Oh,
I've done it 4 or 5 times with 4 or 5 different companies, because for a period of time I was completely obsessed, and everything was coming back different. But the one thing that was always standard was the Native American. Since it has been like, oh, Liberia and this, and anyway, I have two or three genealogists in my family. So yeah, I don't know, it just happened. And so we know more than most, more than most.
Did you find out all that health stuff? That's what scares me.
Yes, I did.
And is anything scary?
I didn't find out the scary stuff.
Good.
Because you can say no to that.
Yeah.
I found out other things. And then there were things that were like so wrong. Like
what?
Like, no, you don't have red hair. It's like, oh, hello. And
wow.
Even though I have dyed my hair many colors for various roles, right? I'm born a redhead. And no, you don't have freckles. I'm sorry. These are freckles. And I forget. But a lot of the things are okay. I froze again. I can see.
Yeah, I can see that.
There we go.
There you go.
But anyway, I don't see anything wrong. I think it's interesting to do that, to do the DNA, the gene, the health gene. But I'm on so many different DNA because of my cousins. They're like, oh, I think you should try this one now, and so we do, and it's fun. It's fun to do. My cousins don't like it at all and won't have anything to do it. I have a lot of cousins, more than most people.
And do you have family here in LA?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I'm really lucky. Yeah, I have my nephew. I call him my nephew. Technically, he's a cousin, but I call him my nephew, and he's fabulous. He's a writer, and he had Never Have I Ever. He has an episode on that he wrote.
Fantastic.
And, yeah, he's really a wonderful writer. And then I have a niece, really a cousin, but I call her my niece, that we're going to spend Thanksgiving with.
That was my next question. That's where I was going. What are you doing for Thanksgiving?
My niece and her boyfriend bought a place in Big Bear just 6 months ago. We haven't seen it yet. So we're going up to see that. And so that should really be fun. And then my other nephew, really a cousin, I call him my nephew, but he lives in Santa Barbara. That's her brother. And so he and his terrific girlfriend are coming also up to Big Bear. And we're taking our dog, and he's quite elderly, but he's going to go because he goes everywhere. And that's what we're doing. What are you doing?
I'm actually cooking. And this is the first time in 5 years that my daughter is home for Thanksgiving.
Oh, nice.
And I didn't know when I said I was going to cook that I'm going to have hip replacement surgery 7 days later. And I have to do like 9,000 tests and doctors before that. So how I'm going to have time to cook, I don't know how that's going to work at all.
Hello, Gelson's. Like a turkey dinner for however many people. And it's so great.
I can't do it because, first of all, my friends got the Gelsons last year and they were disappointed. They said it was kind of a lot of work.
Places. Whole Foods has it.
That's true.
I mean, trust me, I know every place in town that does Thanksgiving.
If we have to, Thanksgiving is kind of my kid's favorite thing of mine that I cook. So it's kind of like, and this will probably be the last time I'm going to be cooking for like months. So
you'd be surprised. Be surprised.
We didn't talk about that, but I'm going to call you later. Another time, you're going to tell me about your friends that had hip replacement.
Yeah, I have two friends, and three actually now.
Either of any of them use Snibby? I'm going to Snibby.
I have no idea.
Okay,
I can certainly find out for you.
Okay, very good. Well, anyway, so I don't want to talk about me. This is about you, Lee. So I know that tonight you're doing something with our friend now. All right, I have like a million related questions. I'm all over the place, but have you and Candy been friends a long time, Candy Clark?
Yes.
So did you know Jeff Bridges from Candy Clark days?
No, I knew Jeff before.
What?
Or different. No, different. No, different. Unrelated to Candy. I knew Jeff. And
because I know that the movie you did with Beau, and I know that you have history with Lloyd, but how did
history? So many Bridges, actually.
Many Bridges.
Because there's such a tribe. I actually asked them to adopt me.
Oh,
But they said, no, they have enough people, but I could, be kind of honorary. So, yeah. So
how did you meet Jeff? If it's
how did I meet Jeff? Well, I'm trying to remember. I think we auditioned for something together when we were kids,
Wow.
and I don't remember what.
Okay.
And I don't think I got the role, but I don't remember anymore. It's so long ago. But yeah, so I knew Jeff from that, not from Candy. I knew Candy because a long time ago we had the same manager.
Mhm.
And so I knew her from there, and then just from, around
Right.
and auditioning for the same things. And,
Oh,
sometimes
wow.
she get it, sometimes I get it, so forth. That's kind of how it goes. And,
Right.
I have friends who are also not in the entertainment industry, but probably not as many,
Right.
because that's just, you kind of meet people at your
Mhm.
workplace.
Mhm.
And that's my life since I was 3. So that's
We're going to talk about that too. And also because your publicist, Harlan Boyle, who's so wonderful.
Bowl.
Bowl. I always say Boyle, Bowl, Boll. It's very hard for me to say Bowl. It's not ball.
Oh, like
It's not
Beau Weevil. Think of Beau Weevil.
Bowl, Harlan Bowl, who's so wonderful. And
He's
he has
wonderful.
so many events. And at every one of his events, like you're all there. It's like
Yes, it's like a
everybody's-
tribe.
It is a tribe.
It is, yeah, it is really, it's funny because it is a tribe. But
It is a tribe.
but all these different, like for the Academy events, which is where Candy and I are going tonight to see
Mhm.
Don't Look Up, which is a new movie, Meryl Streep and I think Leonardo DiCaprio.
And I've heard great things about it.
I've heard great things also. I'm really
Mhm.
looking forward to it. And then there's a party, with the actors.
Of course.
And the director. And it's not a big thing, it's kind of small thing. So
Right.
I like that. I don't like the big things too much. But what was I saying? I forgot.
That you see.
Well, there's different tribes for different places.
Mhm.
So there's a tribe for the Academy, the Motion Picture Academy, because we all see each other like 2 or 3 times a week during Oscar
Right.
season.
Right.
And it's the same people,
Right.
over and over.
I've
And
gone
then
many
there's-
times with Candy. Yes.
Yes. And
That
then
you
there's
see the Bagleys there, Ed and Rochelle. You see Ed and Rochelle there, I assume.
Sometimes they come,
Yes.
we're going to a private home tonight, and sometimes they are both there.
Yes.
And then, of course, I know Rochelle from
Mhm.
Union Service.
Mhm.
And then for Harlan's events, it's a different tribe for those.
Yes, there's Anson and Donnie and
Anson and Donnie. Yeah.
and Rosalind.
Yes, and Rosalind. And should we say people's last names? Is it kind of rude? Not
Sure.
to?
It's rude not. Anson Williams, Donnie Most, Rosalind
Rosalind
Kind. Yes.
Yes. And in fact, I was just texting with Donnie, I don't know, a few days ago about something, but he's in Philadelphia. Where is he? He's in some other state. I think he's in Florida. He's doing a play with a friend of mine.
Oh, nice.
I sound like such a jerky name dropper, but I'm not. It's just,
It's okay. Everybody likes to hear the names.
it's just
It's okay.
Loretta Swit. He's doing a play with
Fantastic.
Loretta.
Hot Lips.
And Hot Lips. And also, I think Dee Dee Khan's in it. Also,
Fantastic. I've known
who I
Dee
did
for
a
a long
movie with 100 years ago. And anyway, that's just, God, I really feel like I'm like being obnoxious.
No,
but
it's
I'm
not being obnoxious. Donnie went to sleepaway camp, went to day camp with my boyfriend when they were 14.
No.
Yes, and I reconnected them after 50 years, and they saw each other again with
That's
their wives.
too
Is that hysterical?
cute for
Yes.
words.
They used to
Donnie's
do sleepovers. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so. It's like I have a really good friend who was my college roommate, and we're still friends. And she's here. She's here.
Dan Navarro is sending love to both of us.
Oh,
by
I
the
love
way.
Dan.
See,
Oh
I
my
didn't know
God.
you knew Dan Navarro. Says there's
Of course,
another
I know
one.
Dan.
Okay,
I know
Union.
Dan and I do union service.
Union
together.
service. Yes, of course.
And he is the most unbelievable singer
Yes, he is.
and songwriter and entertainer and just all around good guy. Hi, Dan.
Fantastic. Dan's fabulous. Dan did the living room the first time with Cloris Leachman, and
Oh,
that
Cloris
was-
played my mother in the first TV show I ever did.
oh,
See,
but
This
it
world is about-
yeah.
this world is about this.
It's this, and I know that that why am I spacing out? Wait a minute, I have to remember. Well, Orson Welles, we're going to talk about because of Henry Jaglom, and I know that you did work with Orson, and also in Valley Girl, Cameron Dye, another friend of mine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. Yeah. I love Cameron.
yeah, he's a doll.
I see Cameron once in a while when we do like reunion things, and then we did something and we were signing at an autograph show, and I love Cameron. He's incredibly talented.
Yes, he is. He's wonderful. All right, so let's get back to Lee. So 3 years old, come on. 3 years old, you're modeling for, was it Neiman Marcus you're modeling for?
Yeah, I was a toddler model for the flagship store in Dallas, and I always kind of laugh about it because I don't remember anybody who did that. I'm sure there were other children, but I don't remember them. But I always laugh about it because I think, yeah, my parents probably were like, you've been like living off of us for long enough. You have, we've been housing you and feeding you, and get out there and get a job.
Was your mother a stage mother? Was that her dream?
No. Oh, no. My mother was a housewife. No, we were walking. We were living in Dallas at the time. We moved a lot in my young childhood, a lot, all the time.
Now you moved because of the service? Was that?
We moved because of the service and then other things.
Okay.
We just kept moving. And so my mother and I were walking down the street in Dallas, and she always dressed me really. We didn't have much money, but she made the best of what we had. And so she and I were always dressed really nice, even though maybe it was like, I don't know, homemade or something. She couldn't sew, but maybe it was like, I don't know how she did it actually on what we had, which wasn't much. But we were walking down the street in Dallas, and this, I don't know, a talent scout or a rep or somebody working in Neiman Marcus came up, and my mother was extraordinarily beautiful, like really, really beautiful.
That is no surprise.
Well, I don't look anything like her.
Ah.
No, nothing. I looked like a mini me of my dad, but my dad was incredibly handsome. And so this man came up and started talking to us and about wanting me to come into the store with my mother, of course. I'm going to go alone at 3.
That would have been creepy if he would have taken you alone.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't have. No, she wouldn't have let me go. Trust me. No. But anyway, we did. We went into the store. I don't know if it was that day or another day. Don't remember. And they interviewed me to see if I could,
at 3.
At 3, they interviewed me and to see if I could take direction, which was simple things like put on this little dress and walk down that runway. And it was easy. And so I got a job. And
wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you did that for a while. And so where do you go from there? You're already a success at 3. I mean, it's like, where do you go from there?
It was just a little, runway modeling. It was
a little runway modeling. But then I understand that you took dance. Now, was dance your mother's choice or your choice?
No, my mother, no, I didn't have a stage mother. My mother was an extraordinarily beautiful housewife. That's what she did. That was her job. And she never had a paying job in her life. So, except for I think when she was about 16, she worked in a bank in California, I think. So, but that was it. She never had those kind of goals. It just, for me, it just came out of nowhere. And was she supportive of you having those kind of goals? No. Okay. No. But because they didn't think that I was going to do anything like that as a profession, I was supposed to be a doctor or a nurse or something like that. Right.
But the dancing came in pretty early because by 13 you're touring around. So did you have to beg, borrow, and steal to take dancing class, or did she?
Not at all. No, because anyway, there was, I was, they were letting me take whatever class I wanted to take as long as it was affordable. Right. And then, because of my father's death, I had money from the military to help support me. later, and which is kind of awful, but and so it paid for, you know, a lot, and not a lot, but paid for some things. And then so I took everything. I mean, I took dance, and I was a terrible stutterer.
Wow.
Terrible. I mean, really terrible.
How did you get over that?
Well, I took voice lessons, but I had this. I think I started about 7, and I had this voice. I don't know what you'd call it back then. Now it's called a voice therapist, but then I guess it was like that, but not so formal. But it was a woman who spoke like this and had this really heavy Southern accent, and she was terrible. She was a terrible therapist.
Oh.
And she would say things to me like, round your vowels. It was like, what? And anyway, that didn't work. And so I just lived with being a stutterer for many years, but I never stuttered while performing. It's just
wow.
It's a classic old story. Stutterers don't. If they are performers, they don't stutter when they're performing on stage, television, movies, but in life, stutterers stutter. And it was really bad because I couldn't make a phone call without, I couldn't, and I would freeze. But most stutterers develop tricks, and I had developed a lot of tricks that got me through childhood and adolescence. And then when I left home very early, 17, and when I finally worked my way to California, I found a really great voice teacher, and he resolved my stuttering.
Wow.
And so but it took probably 2 years. So
did you ever audition while you were still a stutterer and have to have the interview? Like, did you ever stutter during an interview, but then you would do the lines and you'd be fine, or you hadn't gotten to that yet?
I actually had gotten to that, and at the beginning, and no, there was never any problem talking to somebody in the audition room or a casting director or doing the audition. It was when I left that it would surface. So, but it was gone. I had this, like I said, this wonderful teacher. He was blind.
Wow.
Yeah, he was great. I think the blindness, because he was blinded as a young man when he was going to Columbia University. He was a professor, and I think the blindness made him so attuned to so many things. I mean, he could tell what mood you were in.
Wow.
He could, he was a great man. Really
wow.
great man. Professor.
Wow. Okay, so you start out as a dancer. Was there a dream to be a professional? Like, what was the first? Did you want to be a doctor? What was the first dream for you?
No, I didn't want to do anything like that.
Were you a good student?
Excuse me?
Were you a good student?
No, I was not particularly a good student. I was kind of handicapped a little bit because I had learned to read before I started school. So I learned to read at maybe 4. And I was a very prolific reader, and all my girlfriends from there will tell you, I always had my nose in a book. So, but it was kind of a handicap to start school like that, because, well, first of all, I was kicked out of every school I ever went to. And I started in kindergarten, and because I went to kindergarten in Dallas.
Yeah.
And I was kicked out of kindergarten, and it just went like that because
wait, why were you kicked out of kindergarten?
I refused to take a nap. Yeah. I did not want to lay on that, I thought, dirty floor, because I'm very picky, and on that, mat, and go to sleep with all these other people. It's just like, no, I'm not doing that. And the teacher was quite mean and said, if you don't do it, you're going to go in the cloakroom. Well, cloakroom was in those days, that was a very scary place.
Oh, yes.
It was very Gothic.
Mm-hmm.
And so I ended up in the cloakroom in the dark. And
wow, that's like child abuse now.
it was like child. It would never happen now, but then,
right. Yeah.
all bets were off. So I ended up in the cloakroom, and that was the end of my kindergarten career.
Wow.
My mother's like, no, not going back there.
So what was the first dream that I want to be when I grow up? I wanted to be, I told my grandmother when I was 2.5, I'm going to be a movie star. I'm going to buy you a big car. So that was the first dream. And I didn't buy her a big car. She didn't want a big car. So I took her to Europe. Oh,
yeah.
That's a pretty nice.
Yeah.
Oh, and so was dancing what you saw as a route to get there, or was that something else?
Well, that's too logical. When you're a kid, you don't think about, how you're going to do something. You just think,
Yeah.
how kids are, I want to be a baseball player, but how you're going to get there? What? I don't know. But you don't think about how. You just think about what. And I love that about kids. They're like, I'm going to be an astronaut, but they don't say like how they're going to do it. Like
right.
We have a friend whose son is a doctor now, young doctor. And when my significant other met him, that was long before I did, he was like 7 or something. And he said to him, like you say to children, what do you want to do when you grow up? And he said, well, I'm going to be a doctor. Well, he's a doctor.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, because he named it. And I think I
believe that.
Yeah, if you name it.
He manifested it.
Yeah, he did. And then he also did all the hard work.
Yes.
And, the grueling schooling, and he did all that. And he's an emergency room doctor, which I think is
fantastic.
Hard to do. Right. But I think with children I think you have to really listen to children, because they will tell you what they want to do. And it may sound like very far-fetched, for a child to say, here, your grandmother, 2.5, I'm going to be a movie star and buy you a big car. It's pretty far-fetched, but then I did it. And or start in movies at least. And so I think you have to really listen to children, because they will name what they want to do. And it may be something like really like what's crazy to you, but it is what they want to do. And I find that to be really fascinating. And I didn't tell anybody else what I wanted to do, only her, because I knew it would be ridiculed. And so I only told her. And when she used to, because she lived in California, and when she used to visit me on the set, she would visit me all the time on the set. And it was great, because that was the person who listened to me.
Wow.
And never scoffed at what I said, or no matter how crazy it was, or I'm going off with this little theatrical company. You're 13. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think you have to really listen to children.
I agree with you. I have children. I listen to my children. I talk to them too, but not yet. So Lee, how did you segue from, okay, so you runway modeled, you learned to dance, you became part of a troupe. Yeah. How did you segue that into becoming an actor?
Well, yeah, my first TV show at 5.
Oh, stop. I don't even know that. I did all this research that I didn't know. What was your first TV show?
Well, no, you wouldn't have known it, because it's completely and utterly obscure. Okay. But by that time, we were living in Millington, which is the naval base that's right next to Memphis.
Okay.
We were living there. And somehow, and I don't know how, but I do believe if you name things, they kind of fall in your lap sometimes, and I don't know how it happened, but there was this little show there called the Mid-South Talent Show.
Mhm.
And somehow I ended up on that show. It was a TV show. It was a regional TV show. And I was 5 and I read a poem, and then I did that show for the next 8 years and on and off.
Wow.
I didn't do it every week. I did it on
Right.
and off. But they really were, I mean, it was great training. It in a very accidental way, because they would call me up because
Mhm.
as I got older, they could call me. And before that, they would call my mother,
Mhm.
and they would say, oh, we have a slot this week. Do you have like something you want to do? You want to do a dance? You want to do a song? You want to do, and I would say, sure. And I would come up with something. And then I started designing my costumes, and did that for a very long time, and still do a little bit of it. And
Wow.
but I don't sew, so I
Mhm.
always have to take them someplace else. But I can sketch and
Mhm.
describe and shop for fabric, things like that. And so I did that show. And then when I got a little older and was doing the show when I was like maybe 10, 12, then I would call them up and I would say, hey,
Oh
I
my
have this
God.
idea
Mhm.
to do this dance. And, and so I did that. And so I did that show for on and off for about 8 years. And then I started with this little traveling company that I just froze up again.
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't know.
Now it's
Yeah.
moving.
There you
I
go.
move my head sometimes. So interesting being a robot. So anyway, I had an incredible band director, musical director, who
Mhm.
decided to start this company of students, and we ended up going like all over and performing. And so
And now is your mother okay with this, that you're doing this?
she was fine, because none of this was,
Real.
it was not
Right.
real. Now
Mhm.
the little modeling gigs
Mhm.
that I had, those are real, because I
Mhm.
was paid.
Mhm.
But none of this was real. None of this was like leaving home,
Mm.
not becoming a doctor or a nurse, or at least marry a doctor, right? Something. And, or be a teacher or whatever,
Right.
because I don't know. I always think that I was kind of raised by wolves, even though I wasn't, because these, my mother and my stepfather were intelligent, educated people,
Mhm.
but they never like talked to me about how are you going to earn a living. And other than, well, I guess you're going to be a doctor, or you're going to be a nurse, or you're going to be a doctor's wife. And it was like, okay, but there was no plan.
Right.
There was nothing really, just nothing.
Yeah.
And actually that's okay, because it all turned out fine.
Mhm.
And if I had gone in that direction, I think I would be dead already, because
Wow.
I wouldn't have survived doing something that wasn't in the arts. I just wouldn't have survived it. And so I think it all turned out really, really well because I was raised by wolves, very intelligent, very good looking, educated wolves, but nevertheless, who didn't really ever concern themselves with how was my education going, or
Mhm.
nothing. And
Mhm.
I'm actually grateful. I know it sounds weird.
Well, no, because everything happened the way it was supposed to,
Yeah,
and
it did.
that's
Because
exactly where.
I
Okay, so
named
we have way too many actors and co-stars to talk about, so we have to move. So how did you get the first professional acting gig as you did this company and you traveled around and did that, but then how did you get to film? How did you segue to film?
Okay, so I got in my car and drove to California. That was one thing. And had a horrible accident, destroyed
Ooh.
my car.
Oh.
And so then I became a hitchhiker. And yeah.
Wow.
And anyway, so the first pay, well, I also started doing modeling again, because I was going to support myself by dance, but then I got injured in the car wreck. And so
Oh.
then I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I need to earn a living. And so I was already working in a disco, uh, such different times,
Yeah.
in a disco, and at night, and from like 9 until 4 in the morning, and then get a couple hours of sleep and then go do classes. But I needed more money. It wasn't enough. And so somebody said, you could be a model. And I said, oh, funny you mentioned that. I have already been a model. But they said, no, you could be a grown-up model. And so I did that, and I did. But then when I got better, I became a runway dance model. It was a very interesting.
Wow, what's a runway dance model?
It was a troupe of models. We were really dance. It was choreographed.
Wow.
Yeah, I've never seen it since, but we were all models for Nina Blanchard, if you ever heard of Nina.
Yeah, sure.
Very famous modeling agent. And but there were a bunch of dancers in that she had as modeling client on her roster.
Mm-hmm.
And so we would do runway shows, but we would dance.
Wow.
So it was very unusual. But okay, going back to your original question. So I was going around auditioning at that time. There were these programs called the New Talent programs.
Mm-hmm.
And every studio had them. Fox and Columbia and Warner Brothers, everybody had, Universal had these New Talent programs, which were not like from the glory days of Hollywood, where everything was done for you. This was really like, it was good, but it was a lot of taking advantage of, because we did not get what, say, the actors of an earlier age got in the golden age, right? Which they were groomed, they had dance and voice and this and that, but we had to still pay for all that. But we would get a weekly stipend, which was practically nothing. And we had the prestige of being in a New Talent program, which at that time, they don't exist anymore. I think that Francis Coppola was the last one who did it for Zoetrope. But so it was very prestigious because it was very sought after. And I had auditioned for, 3 or 4 different studios. And finally, Screen Gems signed me. But I had already auditioned for the first film I ever did, which was for Steve McQueen. And I'd already auditioned.
Yeah, we have to talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, because I had 5 auditions for that, but I think I'd had the first 2. So when I signed the deal with Screen Gems, I was smart enough to say to them, I'm auditioning for this film over and over. And if I get it, I don't want to be bound to Screen Gems. And so they wanted me badly enough that they actually agreed, which was so shocking. Looking back at the time, I thought it was normal. And then later,
right.
You did that? And I'm like, yeah. And you didn't have an attorney? No. Anyway, they signed me. And so the first job I had was, I had one line, which was something, I think it was something like, may I help you?
Yeah, well, of course you remember your one line. Yes, of course.
That was it. I'm not sure. Well, I think it was, may I help you? And because I was in an office and supposedly working in this office. And that, but in the meantime, that I was still doing the multiple auditions for this film called Adam at 6 a.m. for Steve's company, Solar Productions. And so I would be over at Screen Gems, and then I'd go over to the other side of town where Steve's offices were, and I'd do yet another audition. And so that was my first paid acting job on film, was, may I help you?
Wow. Okay. So Steve McQueen. So from what I understand of the story, there were hundreds of girls, young women that were 500 that were auditioned for this role. It came down to a handful of you. Yes. And from what I understand, Steve handpicked you himself.
He did.
Yeah. Okay. So now, what the hell was that like? I mean, and I heard that he also mentored you.
He did. He was my mentor. Yeah.
In what way? How did he mentor you?
Oh, it's just, the thing about Steve was that I thought he was really old because I was really young, and he was of my parents' generation. He was their age. And so for me, it was like, he was like a father figure. And
Did
So
he see it that way?
Oh yeah, totally.
Oh, nice.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Mhm.
And no, there was nothing weird. You
Mhm.
know, this was strictly like a father-daughter, older
Lovely.
brother, whatever, you know, it was like that.
Mhm.
And so he knew that I knew like nothing. And even though I was a trained actor, I've been
Mhm.
doing a lot of training. I was very, very well trained,
Mhm.
and had been a dancer, and you know, but you know, my father had been a Marine, and Steve was a Marine, and I rode a motorcycle, and he rode a motorcycle,
Nice.
and we both like fast cars, even though I couldn't afford one,
Mm.
but I was in his fast car. And so he was a very unique and special being,
Mm.
and there's nobody like him.
Mm.
And it just he was very concerned about, because I was really skinny at the time,
Mhm.
because I was a model and a dancer, and he was like, you got to gain weight. This girl has to be more like Midwestern, and but I don't want you to gain it and become just untoned. And so I would go into his office, and he would teach me these exercises.
Wow.
Everybody, a lot of people were coming and going. It wasn't like it was like door closed, weird stuff.
Right.
And we would do these exercises.
Wow.
And then finally one day I said to him, where do you get these exercises? Because every time I come in, you have a different one. He's like, oh, I have this Chinese fitness expert. Nobody used the word trainers in those days.
Mhm.
And I went, oh, okay. He said, so when he teaches me something new, then I teach it to you if I think it's the right thing.
Uh-huh.
And so then years and years later, because I never knew the guy's name, and then years and years later, when I'm looking at a book in my shelf, a biography about Steve, but the writer, who's a fantastic writer, Marshall Terrell, interviewed me for a book about Steve. I've been interviewed a lot. And he said, do you know who that was, that Chinese fitness person? I said, no. And he said, it was Bruce Lee. So
Oh my God.
I didn't know that, because Steve never said his name.
That's crazy.
For no reason, just didn't. Right. And yeah, so I guess I was trained kind of third hand by.
So was he sort of was he the gentle, because his persona, I just watched The Great Escape recently. He's so amazing. Was he a gentle, or was he gruff? What was he like personally?
He was never gruff with me.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard he was gruff with others,
Mm-hmm.
but never with me, because I was just a young girl.
Mm-hmm.
What was he going to do? Be mean to me? And you know, he was investing a lot of money in me.
Mm-hmm.
So there was that. And
I assume you learned a lot.
I learned a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And he taught me, you know, how to behave on a set, and how to save money, and
Wow.
you know, and how to do things in films that draw attention to you. And he just taught me, you know, a lot, basically how to behave. And I don't know, it's hard to describe, you know.
It's wonderful. I love it. That's thrilling. Okay, so another icon that you worked with, Orson Welles. How did that happen? Oh my God.
So that was a film that I'm sorry to say is not a good film.
Oh.
But working with Orson was, again, another experience of a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, because I studied film a lot as a young person, and I think more actors today ought to do that, because you learn a lot. And I had studied all of Orson's films, and you know, of course, Citizen Kane, The Magnificent Ambersons, and on and on and on. And so I got offered this job. It was not a good script, particularly. It was like a really silly, but it was Orson Welles, and I needed a job. And I think it was my second film. I'm not sure. And so, and there's, anyway, I'm friends. It's strange, because going back to how you meet your friends, I'm friends with those people from that film to this very day.
Wow.
The ones who are still with us. And it's interesting. but anyway, so yeah, so we were young and we didn't have much money, any of us, and we didn't have much say in anything. And I kind of gone from, you know, being way like up here with Steve, and now I was kind of way down here, you know, but that's just because of this film. And then
Right.
but it was Orson Welles, you know, and he was
Yeah.
larger in life in so many different ways. And physically he was a huge man, and he had this magnificent voice.
Oh, yes.
And I played his, so stupid. He played a warlock, and I played his witch protege.
Wow.
So a lot of most of my scenes were with Orson. But we would be, you know, we were a bunch of young actors, and Michael Aunt King and Pamela Frank.
Oh, wow.
Susan Bernard, and who's sadly passed away, and Harvey Jason and Lisa James, and we all still know each other, which is very interesting. And we all ended up, because Pamela had come from England, didn't know anybody, and she and Harvey met on that film and got married. They're still married.
Oh.
And I know their son, who's a film publicist. Such a small world. But Pamela didn't know anybody, so then we ended up being the bridesmaids in her wedding. But going back to Orson, so Orson, of course, was treated like a king, like a god on the film, and we were not treated very well. But it was okay because we were young and we really didn't care. And so every day when it was lunchtime, he had this gigantic trailer. We had these like kind of coffin trailers, and he would, and then there was the chef's trailer, which was his chef, not our chef. And so every day we would be kind of up high on this kind of ridge, and he would be down low in sort of a ravine with the two trailers. And then we would watch, and we would start to smell the food. And then we'd watch the chef come out and show Orson, you know, here's your bottle of wine. Would you like this? How is this vintage? And then they come to us, you know, and he would be sitting there dining in this fabulous meal. They'd come to us and they'd throw these brown paper bags at us with a can of Coke, and we would have, you know, a soggy tuna fish sandwich and kind of a moldy apple. I mean, it would never happen now, but it sure happened then.
Right. Okay, so let's keep, so
he
then
was
let's,
great to me, by the way. He was great to me.
That's
Orson
wonderful.
Welles. Yeah,
That's so lovely.
Yeah.
And with Steve McQueen, you worked with, you co-starred with Michael Douglas, is that correct?
Right, yeah.
And so was it Michael's first film as well?
No, it was
Okay.
Michael's third film.
Okay.
I was hired way before Michael, and I went through the whole casting process, and then got the role. And then I had to go through the whole casting process with the guys.
Right.
I had to read with the guys and test with the guys. And so I got to know all of them pretty well. And then one day when they came in and they said, we think we know who we're going to hire. We think we're going to hire Kirk Douglas's son. And I was like, oh, who's that? And, you know, they said, well, his name is Michael. I mean, he wasn't famous. He'd done 2 films prior to that, and he wasn't famous yet. And so they hired him. He was the most gorgeous man. Oh my God. He was so handsome. And he was so talented. And we did a lot of, because we were sent, after the film was over, then we were sent on tour together. And we toured the country and promoting the film.
Right.
And one day he said to me, you know, I really want to be a producer. And it was like, really? And he said, yeah, I want to be a producer. And hello, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which his father had the rights to, and gave them to Michael. And then that, you know, so that was,
and then you also worked with Kirk much later, right? Eddie Macon's Run.
Yeah, years later, I worked with Kirk, and that was really fun. I love Kirk. I have on my bulletin board a note from Kirk.
Oh,
it was just a few months before he died.
Oh,
and yeah, it was really nice. And he had heard me on an interview like this one, and I was talking about how much I loved him, because I did. And he was a mensch, just a mensch.
Oh, have you stayed in touch with Michael through the years?
So once in a while, once in a great while, you know, but life happens.
Was he, I mean, he became so huge.
So huge.
And which affected his persona in life as well. Was he different before he became huge?
No, I just think he was pretty much always the same.
Mm-hmm.
He was just a really good guy,
Mm-hmm.
and but incredibly smart. Just really smart, which is why he became a major producer and is very, very successful. So
Wonderful.
yeah.
And then, okay, so you're twice Emmy nominated, and I know the first one was with Mark Harmon, another fantastic actor, and
He's a fantastic actor.
from what I hear, a wonderful guy. And what
He's
if
a wonderful guy.
you had a completely different persona in that film? And
Yes.
did you have a Southern accent when you were a little girl?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Growing up in the South? Yeah. Mhm.
Sure. I mean, we grew up, we moved a lot, but it was
Mhm.
always within that South, Mid-South, Midwest region. So I had kind of a hodgepodge of an accent, and then the stuttering on top of it. It wasn't.
And so did you pull from your real accent to do?
No. I can't do my real it's not my real accent anyway.
Yeah, right.
I haven't spoken like that. I can't do that accent. I don't even know that accent.
Did you study to lose that accent, or did it just happen naturally?
No, it did not happen naturally. My professor,
Mhm.
the one who handled my stuttering, he also handled my accent. And I always had a really low voice for a woman and for a girl. And we kept that. But we got rid of the hodgepodge accent, got rid of the stuttering, and then also my teacher in England was very helpful. And then we got rid of, I was very nasal and I spoke very rapidly. So we got rid of all of that.
Okay, I'm making you fix your hair because you'll be mad at me if I don't.
I
So I
can't
want you to look
stand
at your bangs because you have a piece that you have to push the other
No, I can't
direction.
stand it. It's just
No,
like-
the one on top, you have to push the other direction. It's going the wrong direction. You have to fix it now because you'll be mad at me if I don't.
I will
tell
be
you to
mad
do-
because I
No,
can
it has
see
to
it,
go
like-
the other way. The one on top has to go the other way.
What, this
That
one?
piece over, yeah, that one has to go the other way.
Oh my God.
I'm only telling you because you'll be mad. No, there's one piece that's in the
You
wrong
gonna edit
direction.
this or people are gonna see
No,
me do
we
it?
don't edit. No,
Okay,
this
fine.
is
So everybody
live.
gets to see me fixing my.
That's right.
hair.
I've been sitting here chutching with my
Ugh.
ear thing that's driving me crazy the whole time. So, okay, let's talk about Valley Girl because that's so,
Okay, let's get that hair out of there.
you're so, yeah, fix that one piece. This is the wrong.
This one.
So, yes. So Valley Girl, Nicolas Cage. So this is a low budget film, right? This is
Very low
not.
budget. I think it
So
was-
how did you get that?
Oh, it was that was, a long time. I was very established actress.
Right.
But, it was kind of like a friend. A friend called me up. Actually, it was Colleen Camp.
Mhm.
Called me up and said, there's this little movie and we're all going to do it. Do you want to do it? And I said, I don't know. Can I read the script? Read the script and was like, well, this is really fun. And she said, and there's a female director. It was like, oh, a female director. Well, that was new. I'd never worked with a female director. So that was a big draw for me. And so we all just did this movie. And then my friend Heidi, who's probably watching right now, who was one of the stars of Valley Girl, she played Stacy, but she had a totally different experience because she was young, right? And we were all very, Colleen and me and Fred Forrest and I forget.
Wow, Frederick Forrest, I forgot about him. Yes.
Yeah, all the adults.
Right.
We were just like word of mouth. Do you want to do this movie? And by the way, can you bring some clothes because we don't have the money? Sure, I'll bring the clothes. And can we use your living room? No. Draw a line. And so it was very much like my dad has a barn. Let's put on the show.
And now Nicolas Cage was not. Was this his first movie?
It was
He
his first movie. Yeah, and he was Nicholas Coppola.
Yes.
But then because Martha was like auditioning lots of young guys for that role. She was auditioning lots of young girls for those teen roles.
Right.
And so she was told by a friend, hey, I know you're looking for this particular character. And I know this young guy who came in for something. And I don't know who it was that said this to her. I have to ask her sometime. And but he's a Coppola, but he doesn't want anybody to know that. She's like, okay. And so she auditioned him and he was incredible. And so he got the role.
Mhm.
And but his request was, please don't tell anybody I'm a Coppola. And my last name now is Cage. So we all knew it
Mhm.
because most of us knew Francis
Right.
and the family. But then we honored it and we never said anything. So, but yeah, that was his first movie.
That's so fun. So, and Chadwick Bosman,
What?
did you, Chadwick? Yeah. And so what, he seemed lovely. So what was that film experience like?
I did a series with
Mhm.
Chad, and it was only ran for one season.
Mhm.
And
Oh yeah, Persons Unknown. Yes.
Persons
got that.
Unknown, it was
Mhm.
really should have run for many seasons. It was great. And then the
Mhm.
writing was incredible. Christopher
Mm.
McQuarrie, who writes all the films for Tom Cruise, and
Mm.
Remy Aubuchon, who's incredible. And it just had such a pedigree.
Mm.
And all the actors were really great. I mean, Alan Ruck, he's now in Succession. And then Chad, was this young guy. He was really sweet. He was really nice. He was incredibly gifted, as everybody knows now.
Mhm.
And he was in it, and I was evil, and I played a very questionable woman.
Mhm.
And he played. It was a sci-fi. It was a
Mhm.
sci-fi show. It was really good.
Mm.
But
And you have some more recent stuff that I want to get to before we run out of time. So you did something with Joey Travolta that very compelling, Carol of the
Yeah.
Bells and it was an inclusion film, correct?
yes, and that was with Donna Pescow and Donna Mills and R.J. Mitty from Breaking Bad and Jerry Jewell from.
I love Jerry.
I know, I love Jerry so much. And gosh, they had a really amazing cast. But the big draw about that, Carol of the Bells,
Mhm.
which you can still see streaming and whatever,
Mhm.
was that it was Joey has schools for the disabled, or as he calls them, differently abled, and which I think is really sweet.
I love that.
And appropriate. And
Mhm.
so he has schools for differently abled people who want to be in the film industry and want to work on crews.
Mhm.
And it was his big dream to do a Hollywood film
Mhm.
with the students who had graduated
Wow.
and with Hollywood actors. And so that's what this was.
Mhm.
So 70% of the crew were the students from his schools.
Wow.
And they were amazing. Just,
Mhm.
I mean, they were professional. They were, not only were they on time, they were always there early.
Wow.
And they were great. And now a lot of them are doing other jobs in the film industry. There's a bunch of them, I think, on Dr. Phil, and
Mhm.
and then Andrea Friedman played Carol of the
Mhm.
Bells, and she does have Down syndrome.
Mhm.
And so we had 3 differently able people in the cast, and then 70% of the crew. That was a very, very sweet story.
Wow, 70% of the crew. Does this overlap with what David Zimmerman does at all?
Yeah, David cast this movie.
Oh, okay, there you go. Well, I knew there had to be some
It's
sort of
again,
connection
a
there. There
little
you
tiny little world that we all live
Okay,
in.
speaking of the little tiny world we live in, so I found you because Donna Pescow. Oh, and
Yes.
and everything on Donna's page I ever saw was with you and you guys commenting back and forth and going out to dinner and doing all of these fun
Yeah,
things.
we're about to do that. We're going to the Van Gogh exhibit.
Fabulous.
I mean,
How did you and Donna become friends?
We met on that film, on Carol
Oh,
of the Bells.
so it's not that long ago.
No, it's a very strange and wonderful thing that you can make friends when you're older. And Donna and I are soulmates. And
I can see.
hi, Donna. She's
Hi,
watching.
Donna. I adored her.
But we really are. We just, I don't know. We have kind of talked about it, kind of like looked at it going, well, this is really interesting, because it was kind of like my long lost sister.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's really interesting how it happened. And we just bonded. And we had this one really funny thing we had to do where she had a self-tape and we had to do it in location. We didn't have any equipment. We didn't have any tripods. We had nothing. And so I started stacking luggage and we were in the hotel room, and I had started stacking luggage up, and then the ice bucket, and put my iPhone. Completely crazy.
Mhm.
And anyway, that was a big bonding moment that we did that. And then it just was like, I'm telling you, it was actually magical. It was magical. It was like, oh, I know you.
See, now I thought you guys knew each other forever, because that's what it appears. And that connection is so strong. That's so
what
obvious.
It feels like.
It's
very interesting how once a while in a lifetime, those kind of things actually happen.
I love that. Okay, so I'm going to run through a couple more people quickly before we go. Malcolm McDowell, huge fan. You did Kids versus Monsters. What's it like working with Malcolm?
He's a really great actor.
He is. He is.
Legendary.
Do you know Anson bought his house? Anson's house in Ojai was Malcolm McDowell's house. Yeah, it was Malcolm's house. Yeah,
the world.
It's very teeny tiny. And what's this? Chocolate is not better than sex. I see that's upcoming for you.
I don't know. I did it, and that's it, and I move on.
Okay.
It's a
So
comedy,
all right.
By the way, it's a comedy. It's not weird. It's a comedy.
No, I knew with you into it. It's not. And there's something else coming up. Into the Fire. Is that, you don't know?
I haven't done that yet.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. It's on your thing. Jon Voight, JL Ranch. How is it to work with Jon?
Well, I've known Jon for, God, I don't even know how many years. Jon's one of the very first people I ever met.
Wow.
And he's a brilliant actor, just one of the top ever. And if people listening have not seen Midnight Cowboy, yes, it's an old movie, but really, if you don't see it, because I've seen the Oscar on Jon's mantle, and and I
just watched it again recently. Oh wow, nice.
Yeah, picked it up, held it, very heavy, and he's a great actor, really a great actor.
You've worked with so many. I mean, I'm going down the list of the shows you've done. Well, you did a lot of Murder, She Wrote. So Angela Lansbury did a lot of
record.
Do you really?
I've been told that.
Wow.
Who knows if it's true, but I've been told I hold a very particular record for Murder, She Wrote, which was a TV series that for people who are too young to remember. But with Angela Lansbury, if you don't know who she is, I'm sorry for you. But I've been told that I hold the record for the most, for different roles, because I did 5. I think it's 5.
Wow.
Maybe 6.
Wow.
Maybe one was I played once, like sometimes I'd be the murderer, sometimes I was the victim, sometimes I was the whatever. And it was always different roles and different characters and different accents. And it was really a great show to do, because Angela is one of the great.
Amazing.
Yes.
Okay, so you've done all these other shows with like the most amazing men, from James Brolin, Marcus Welby. You did Bonanza with Michael Landon. You did Medical Center. You did Rockford Files. You did The Streets of San Francisco. I mean, you did all these amazing television shows with all these amazing. Of all the actors that you've worked with, was there anybody that like stood out? Like, you probably had more than one crush, but was there anybody that was like, oh my God, I have such a crush on him? Did you go through that at all?
I'm thinking. Nope.
No kidding.
Nope. I just don't look at it like that.
It's work.
Yeah, I just do the work, and that's it.
And you never dated anybody that was...
I didn't say that.
Okay. Okay.
That's another topic.
Another day. All right. Another day. So, okay. So I know you're off to meet Candy and you're going to a screening. What are you seeing tonight?
We're seeing Don't Look Up.
It's supposed to be wonderful.
So with Meryl Streep and Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer, I always forget her last name.
Oh, not Lawrence. Lawrence?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. She's wonderful.
She's amazing. And somebody else I can't remember. And it's going to be a nice thing. We're going to see the movie, and then we're going to do a party. And they always serve good food at this particular private home. And which you probably know what I'm talking about. And then we're going to talk to the actors and the director. And
so is Meryl going to be there?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. You know, I'm not doing anything yet, and I've been turning down everything, and it's killing me. So you're back to life. You're just living life the way you always lived it, totally.
Yeah, totally.
And you feel comfortable, and
I feel
you're all
fine.
good.
Yeah, I mean, I take precautions. I'm not
Mhm.
stupid,
Mhm.
you know. Yeah, but no, I mean, and really most people I know are
Mhm.
just because it's Oscar season.
Yeah.
You know, and last year Oscar season was staring into a computer, and that was really boring.
Yeah.
So now this season we're back to, now the Academy hasn't reopened, but it is reopening in January,
Mhm.
which will really be nice. And then the new Academy Museum is open; people can go there.
Mhm.
And no, so we're doing a lot of screen. I mean, there is physical distancing and
Mhm.
things like that, but not always.
I've been seeing the pictures, and yeah.
Well, also remember when we take the pictures, we take our
Right.
masks off,
Right. Right.
and then we put them back on.
Right.
So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
That's the rule.
Yeah.
But no, I'm just going to live life because that's what I want to do.
Well, you're doing it beautifully and gorgeously. And I've so enjoyed getting to spend a little time with you in real life, which is the only event I have been to this entire 20 months. You were there.
I read
And
that and I was so amazed that we actually met there, because then I had seen you interviewing Donna, because I was trying to help her with some technical stuff. And I was like, oh my God, that's Vicki.
I know.
So
And
it was really fun.
it was
to-
fun. It was
yeah.
really fun. I'm going to meet Lauren, because Lauren Gold of The Who, we're
Oh,
going
how's
to
he?
have sushi tonight.
Oh, you are? Oh, will you tell him hello from me?
I absolutely will.
Oh,
I
he's
absolutely.
just a doll.
He so enjoyed meeting you.
I
So
enjoyed
please,
meeting him.
please send Candy my love. And
I
I hopefully will get back to seeing you at all those things.
Well, come on, I
and-
mean,
I know. Well, I'm getting hip surgery, so I'm going to be laid
that's
up
right.
for,
And
for
when are
Oscar
you when are you
season.
doing that?
I'm doing it on December 1st, really soon. Yeah. Yeah. So I'll be hobbling around for a
We will
while.
talk.
Okay. Yes, I want to find out. Yeah. Not
Yeah.
tonight. You go do your thing.
I got to go
Well,
do my thing. I see the clock and Candy.
Send Donna my love, send Candy my love. You're gorgeous. Thank you so much for doing this, Lee.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we will do this again sometime. I'm leaving now.
Absolutely.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.